from everyone for decades.
So now I'm the only one who can say anything about their age or name. As soon as they're revealed, they'll be immediately identified and won't be left alone.
His offspring live in a gilded cage, without names, without communication with peers, without the right to a normal life.
To show off, to have some kind of happiness, to have children.
Putin's maniacal fears have turned his immediate family into hostages. And he currently has no children, as far as is publicly known. There are these women and some younger family members who are present.
So, as you just mentioned, questions related to business. You mentioned one woman, then another. You probably haven't told us everything, have you?
Putin's children grow up behind high fences under the protection of the FSO.
The values of love, mutual support, and trust are passed down in the family from generation to generation.
No schools, no friends, no photos. Only lavish residences, servants, governesses, security, and rare meetings with their father.
Happiness, genuine joy, the experience of fatherhood and motherhood are truly above material prosperity in our daily lives.
The mother and father know less about them than the household staff does.
Adults have the right to live as they wish, in their own way. That's how we've always treated this in Russia, and that's how we always will. No one invades anyone's private life.
Eternal bastards, illegitimate heirs to the throne born out of wedlock. They were condemned to isolation and locked away for many years in VIP cells, albeit in a luxurious prison. Why does the bunker dictator, who frequently rants about traditional values, carefully conceal his own family because of his own pathological phobias and complexes? We will carefully lift the veil on the Kremlin villain's greatest secret.
I never discuss matters related to my family.
Officially, the Kremlin dictator has two daughters. The elder, Maria, and the younger, Katerina, both born in his marriage to Lyudmila Putina.
Here is Lyudmila Alexandrovna. She stood her post for 8 years, actually nine years. So, in general, it was a mutual decision.
The official biographies of the girls are spotless. Maria was born in Leningrad in 1985, and Katerina a year later in Dresden, where Putin was stationed on assignment for the KGB. In the
movement of life.
Living in the GDR affected the whole family, including the girls. After returning to Russia, they continued to communicate with each other exclusively in German for quite some time. And their father got so into his role as a spy that for many years he avoided saying their names in public, referring to them only impersonally. These women.
So as you just mentioned, questions related to business. You mentioned one woman, then another. But you probably haven't told us everything, have you?
The real details of their lives only became known as a result of leaks and the persistent work of journalists.
And your children? My children are engaged in science.
My eldest daughter, Maria Vorontsova, received a medical education at Moscow State University, specializing in endocrinology. Since
in my childhood, I always dreamed of becoming a doctor, and my interest in science came a bit later, specifically when I became more conscious and deliberate about my choices in life.
Maria's classmates suspected that she did not come from an ordinary family, but even they had no idea who her father actually was. The internet era did its job. Vorontsova was discovered in the alumni chat of the faculty.
And as for imperial ambitions in Crimea, read less of the Western press. It's shameful to wish to hand over Crimea to the West. Russia had already offered to join both NATO and the EU. They were turned down.
But secrets always come to light, and a rotten apple tree always bears wormy apples. Maria, just like her father, supports the war. For her, Russia is not the aggressor but a victim forced to defend itself. She shifts all responsibility for the crime from her father to Ukraine and the USA, insisting that it is America that starts wars.
I would really like to live to see the day when the US is subjected to sanctions, at least for one of the wars they have started.
With a straight face, she convinces her classmates about the dangers of American biolabs in Ukraine and the Banderites who seized power in Kiev. In short, everything strictly follows her father's propaganda playbook.
Why did the laboratories that they sponsor end up in countries such as Ukraine, Georgia, and so on?
However, Kremlin narratives, absurdities, and hatred for everything Western have never stopped Maria from spending much of her time in the unfriendly Netherlands. That's also where she started her family.
Trying to devote at least a few hours a week. This kind of healthy lifestyle, sports, and there are also seasonal sports like surfing, skiing.
After Putin's invasion of Donbass and the downing of flight MH17 by Russians, the daughter's trips to Europe sharply decreased.
So-called sanctions. Utter nonsense, of course.
In Russia, Masha Putin found herself in the field of innovative medicine.
That's when I learned what experience truly is, what it means to gain knowledge through experience for myself.
Officially, it's a small business, but in reality, it's government contract after government contract and hundreds of millions of rubles in net profit every year. A medical miracle, you might say? No magic involved. Just the limitless power and resources of her father. Common sense will tell you that.
A conference of pediatric endocrinologists.
We're obliged to share our experience and research results with each other. This is the heritage of the world.
Maria chose a Dutchman, Jorrit Faison, as her first husband. An interesting fact, the newlyweds didn't just get married anywhere, but in a luxurious castle near The Hague. The proximity to the main tribunal for war criminals no longer seems like a mere coincidence.
A variety of tourist services are available. Truly something for every taste, as they say.
The small-time businessman Faison was immediately given a job with Putin's closest friends. Oligarchs, billionaires, the Rotenbergs. Thus, the issue of the daughter's well-being was resolved. The couple lived together for about 8 years, up until their separation in 2016. Immediately after the divorce, Fason's career in Russia suddenly began to collapse. And the road back to his homeland was closed due to the close attention of Western intelligence agencies.
Let me add something very important, simple but very important. None of the ordinary citizens of the country, believe me, felt any genuine sympathy in any way for those who lost their fortunes in foreign banks. No one truly pitied those who lost their extravagant yachts, palaces abroad, and so on and so forth.
Almost immediately after the breakup, Maria Vorontsova began a relationship with customs broker Evgeny Nagorny. After meeting the daughter of the president of Russia, he got a job at the gas production company Novatek. By 2017, they had a child who was registered under the father's last name. Apparently, that's how Grandpa Vova decided it should be.
You know, when I mentioned that some of my close relatives are studying Chinese, I talked about my granddaughter, whose nanny is from Beijing, and she speaks Chinese fluently with her. Fluently.
Katerina Tikhonova, the youngest daughter of Lyuda and Volodya Putin.
Katerina Vladimirovna, please, if you would, come here for a moment, please. Good.
Good afternoon.
Today, she heads the Innopraktika Foundation, an organization focused on introducing new technologies into Russian industry. It seems that the younger of the two official daughters is the one preparing herself for political life and for taking the Kremlin throne after her father's retirement or death.
Currently, Katerina is surrounded by managers, officials, and security officers, though rumors about their influence are exaggerated. The idea of her as a successor could suit the regime, but for now, it's too early to say if real preparations for succession are happening.
But as long as her dad is alive, Katyuka is raking in the cash. And she's doing it on an industrial scale. The main clients of Katerina's foundation are still the same state corporations. Billions are circulating there, and Putin's heiress lives like she's in a fairy tale.
If you dig a little deeper there, you'll understand what kind of business they actually have, and whether it even exists as such.
Tikhonova's personal life is also closely intertwined with the Kremlin elite. In 2013, she married Kirill Shamalov, the son of one of Putin's oldest friends. The scenario repeated itself. A lavish wedding, no official marriage registration, and a house not far from Novo Ogaryovo. That's exactly where the dictator's closest circle lives.
What's the problem there? We've allocated all the money. Vladimir Vladimirovich, where's the money?
By tying the knot with Putin's daughter, the younger Shamalov became the youngest dollar billionaire in Russia, making it onto the Forbes list. But things didn't work out here either. The divorce happened in 2018, and everything followed the already familiar pattern. Almost immediately after that, Kirill's father, Nikolai Shamalov, lost a large stake in Bank Russia, the financial core of Putin's inner circle.
Indeed, you could say that, in fact, at the same time, a person begins to truly understand both the possibilities of technology and themselves.
By that time, Tikhonova had already given birth to a daughter, but not with Shamalov, with Zelensky, not to be confused with the president of Ukraine. We're talking about the choreographer and artistic director of the Bavarian State Ballet. In 2019, Katerina even moved in with him in Munich, which didn't really fit with the story of her father, who had completely fallen out with the West.
Zelensky is a well-known and renowned Russian ballet dancer, probably one of the most famous today, who for a long time headed the ballet in Munich, where accordingly he also lived. In 2022,
when Putin launched a full-scale war against Ukraine, Zelensky was fired. He refused to publicly condemn the Russian invasion. But our story doesn't end with the official daughters. You
know my children, despite all the rumors you may have heard, they actually live here, right here in Russia, specifically in Moscow. In the year 2020,
journalistic investigations brought to light another name, Elizaveta Krivonogik, a girl who was born in the year 2003, who by her appearance looks exactly like Vladimir Putin.
Listen, judging by his younger photos, probably yes, she does look like him. But, as it turns out, there are a lot of people who look like Vladimir.
She herself prefers to call herself Luisa Rozova and avoids any public comments. Do
you have any conversations within your family? I mean, I don't know, at the dinner table, for example?
Honestly, I really like it, actually. But for me personally, I can't answer your question.
The illegitimate daughter doesn't live in Moscow, but in Paris, in a country that's a member of the enemy NATO. I
think I've talked to you enough already, honestly. I really am very sorry that things are happening this way. Unfortunately, I am not responsible for this situation.
Her mother, Svetlana Krivonogik, comes from a poor family, with no connections or capital. She went from working as a cleaning lady to becoming a co-owner of the very same Bank Russia and the owner of the large-scale Igora ski resort in the Leningrad region. All these women are united by one thing, their silence. Maria Vorontsova, Katerina Tikhonova, and Elizaveta Krivonogik have never publicly confirmed their relationship to Putin, but they have never denied it either. In this family, it is generally not customary to call things by their real names. And perhaps it is this very silence that best describes the structure of the Putin system. And this system needs heirs, especially in patriarchal Russia. Preferably, they should be boys.
and of course the main and fundamental purpose of the family, as it has been throughout history, is to have children, to continue the human race, to raise and nurture children, and therefore to ensure the ongoing continuation and preservation of our entire multi-ethnic people.
Putin wants to rule forever, but he understands that no matter how much money he pours into his daughter's research to create the elixir of youth, he will have to die. And soon.
I want to get married.
Grandpa couldn't manage to hide yet another Kremlin family no matter how hard he tried. Back in 2008, the newspaper Moskovsky Correspondent wrote about preparations for the wedding of Vladimir Putin and Alina Kabayeva in St. Petersburg, after which the newspaper soon ceased to exist.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, kids. I know you were really worried, but you did great.
Kabayeva loves money so much that she didn't mind getting into bed with the old man and even having his children. After all, her sons could very well end up inheriting the Kremlin throne in the future. Journalists found out that in 2014, Kabayeva flew 3 times from Sochi to Lugano, Switzerland.
A gynecologist from the Swiss Santana Clinic. In this hospital, in the spring of 2015, Alina Kabayeva gave birth to Vladimir Putin's son. Whether the father was present at the birth is not reliably known. In
one of her trips, she was accompanied by her mother, friends, and a woman named Natalia Thibault. As journalists later found out, she was a gynecologist. The delivery went well, so the elderly Putin decided he needed to have another child with the young athlete. And in 2018, she flew to the same Lugano again, this time pregnant once more. Afterwards, the same doctor flew to Moscow to assist with the birth of the second child, also a boy.
Natalia Thibault was born in St. Petersburg, moved to Switzerland over 30 years ago, took her husband's name and changed citizenship, but maintained a trusting relationship with Putin.
Putin personally made the decision about where Alina should secretly give birth. But complete isolation from the outside world did not help conceal the birth of Ivan and Vladimir Jr. Some of the most secretive and highly protected children in all of Russia live in exclusive residences, and they travel by armored trains, luxurious yachts, and private business jets. Their safety and daily life are ensured by organizations connected to the Friends of the Kremlin's executioner.
The children are brought to their teachers and nannies at 8 or 9 in the morning. They all have breakfast together. After breakfast, there is a lesson for 30 to 45 minutes, followed by playtime. At Valdai, the children have access to 2 ponies, rabbits, and a St. Bernard dog. The St. Bernard is looked after by 2 FSO dog handlers. Among the toys is an extensive collection of Lego sets and an iPad. The iPad is used not only for games, but also for video call lessons. When it comes to cartoons, the children prefer Disney. Around noon, the children have a meal, then take a nap, and after waking up, they have lessons and sports. After 8 in the evening, the drivers pick up the children.
They are escorted by FSO staff, nannies, governesses, and professional trainers. The level of security is comparable to that of the country's top officials.
Do you understand what I mean?
I don't want them to grow up as some kind of blue-blooded princes. I want them to grow up as normal people.
In early 2024, a job posting was officially published for a live-in English language teacher for 2 boys, aged 4 years old and 8 years old. The salary is about 8,000 euros per month. Mandatory medical checkups and a 2-week quarantine. In
this same clinic, in a facility in central St. Petersburg on Malaya Konyushanaya Street, is where many friends and acquaintances of Vladimir Putin have examinations, including members of the Ozero Cooperative and Bank of Russia leadership. According to Radio Svoboda, women involved in escort services are also treated there.
The Putin brothers hardly interact with their peers and rarely see their parents. Their parents are busy with other children. Kabaeva with the students at her rhythmic gymnastics academy, and Putin with fake school children in front of TV cameras.
I wish you good luck.
Thank you.
Come on, I wish you success. You did great. Hang in there. Thank you. All right, smart girl. Thank you very much. Bye. Good luck to you.
Goodbye. Where is Sweden and where is Poltava?
But the significant and decisive battle between Peter I's army and Charles XIX was fought near Poltava.
Sorry, wow. What was everyone even doing there near Poltava?
But the little Kabayonis don't really need a father like that, who... One moment he talks for hours about the Pechenegs, then he's rude to European leaders, then he comes up with unfunny jokes and puns.
Hard work is actually a separate talent. It's not just, simply a rubber butt. It's actually a real talent to be able to make yourself work effectively.
Sometimes other children appear at the residences. As a rule, these are the children of Kabaeva's friends, but the same rules apply to them as well. Quarantine, security restrictions. Mostly such visits are timed to holidays and take place at Valdai. Because of the war unleashed by Putin and the fear for his heirs, the whole family of the Kremlin grandpa now lives in even greater isolation.
Nobody move. This is a secret operation.
Judging by the way the residences are set up, Alina and Volodya do not rule out that their offspring should become athletes. Almost every house has sports complexes, gymnastics halls, swimming pools, and even hockey rinks.
Contractors confirmed to us that, yes, they buried an ice palace underground, which is actually as tall as a 5-story building. And
this scenario has already started to play out. In 2025, the eldest son, Ivan, was caught on camera for the first time as a member of the national gymnastics team. Alina herself was most likely sitting in the audience, but, as is known, another woman, Kabaeva's cousin Fedina, pretends to be the boy's mother. The crazed Kremlin dictator makes everyone around him utterly and completely miserable. His daughters and sons are certainly no exception. They too have been turned into a modern version of people who were forced to live their entire lives in iron masks. Although, in this particular case, perhaps it's a golden one.